consistency these days in any sort of new policies or whatever you do, because our attention span is so short. Like we do things and after 3 months it already feels old, right? Like I blame TikTok on this. It's a common joke that if you're in Finland and you're in the gaming industry and then you ask like, hey, who's been at Rovio? Everyone puts their hands up because they've been there at some point. And he was simply like, I'm fucking pissed, but I'm so happy for you. Ooh, yes, this is new. When I was a kid, I used to be a... Wait a second, I'll show you.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Gamebiz Heroes. Today we have an incredible guest who is redefining mobile marketing in the gaming industry. He is the CEO and co-founder of Geeklab, a Finnish tech company helping developers optimize their app store performance and turn impressions into installs. With a background at Rovio and years of experience in game marketing, he is a true innovator navigating challenges like data privacy and attribution with cutting-edge technologies. From founding Geeklab to mentoring startups and even running a dance studio and a clothing brand, his entrepreneurial journey is as inspiring as it is diverse. Please join me in welcoming the brilliant Jesse. Could you please introduce yourself briefly?
Yes. Hello everyone. Happy to be here. I'm Jesse Lempiäinen. Jesse, J, anything that starts with J is fine. Born and raised here in Finland. Been in the mobile industry now shy of a decade. Just enjoying life here at Geeklab and just mentioned sunny and spring-like Finland.
Awesome. So you co-founded Geeklab to help developers optimize their app store performance. Was there a specific moment or challenge that inspired you to create this platform?
Yes. Very much so. How much time do we have? I was working at Rovio. That was my touch point to mobile gaming industry. After a few moves, I got the opportunity to join Battle Studio, which was a new studio where we were making something not so familiar to Rovio, which are typically known from Angry Birds games, right? And the movies, and now Sonic and everything else. So that studio was specifically focused on making 4X games with a rather small team. So we knew that marketing will be like the make or break thing for us. And when we were trying to come up with how we're going to position this game, we realized that most likely the name will also have quite a big impact. This is the first time that we can't simply call the game Angry Birds 4X. We had to actually come up with something else, right? So then I looked around, like how could we actually test that thing? How could we test what the impact of that name could be in terms of the marketing metrics and player, how they would actually view it. There wasn't any opportunity to do that, so then I did what I could based on my knowledge of coding and sketched up together a kind of MVP version of a thing and saw that okay, this actually works, and then later on we decided to make it an actual proper company and start to solve these same issues for other companies than only Rovio as well. That's how it all started. And ever since then, we've also moved away from simply just concept validation and app store optimization towards user acquisition. And I guess it was more or less the same thing where, I remember it vividly. We were at that time our office was super small, not too much bigger than this room that I'm sitting right now at our house. We're just like thinking about the technologies that we're using in the app store optimization side of things, and then I remember just looking at the whiteboard and being like, hey, actually we could use this to solve a lot of issues that happen on the UA side as well, specifically on the iOS side, and that's kind of also then what led to the not pivot but extension to UA too.
And Geeklab also has worked with major players already, like Supercell and Rovio. So is there one project or a success story that stands out particularly meaningful to you? Maybe it was the first client or something else.
Yes, there's a lot of them. um, yeah, in the beginning, I have to also share this for any entrepreneur that is about to start the journey. I quite often think about the times and how extremely difficult and frustrating it feels to kind of, it's kind of like raising money, honestly. If you're doing fundraising, like you're doing like 100 meetings, 1,000 meetings, and you're refining the sales pitch and you're refining the value proposition, and you know that you can help and you know that you have a good idea, but it's hard to get like someone in. And but then when the first one kicks in, so then it helps. And of course, we got a bit of a head start with being able to work with companies like Rovio from the get go, given that I was working there early as well. So plenty of different things that I could be extremely proud of. But I'd probably have to say that it was a Mobile Games Award. Maybe was it last one or the year before that? And we're looking like at the new games that are being launched, right? Or like that was being awarded like as the best game launches. And out of those, like we practically had worked with almost all of them, and played
Oh.
like a part of their journey. So that was something we were like, okay, this is actually nice. Like it feels
Yeah.
like that the work that we've done. At times, it might like when specifically when we do these concept validation things, like a test that's been run based on sometimes a study that we've conducted that then comes up with multiple series of tests after it. That could define things like the name or even like whether they would emphasize more the social features of the game or whether they would go more towards like very immersiveness and sort of the fantasy type of stuff. It's tiny things like these that we played a part of at the very beginning, and at that moment those tests and series of tests might seem like rather small, but then when that eventually ends up being like a big game that's that's out there crushing it, it feels super great to be able to have been played a small part on the journey as well.
And App Store optimization is constantly evolving. So, how do you personally stay ahead of trends and help your clients also to adapt to these changes?
Right, I think it's kind of just like the name says, right? App Store optimization. So I think it's just a thing that's like you just constantly have to do it. I was actually talking about this earlier as I was meeting some friends yesterday over lunch, and we're discussing about more like from the perspective of company strategies and structures and things like this, and how hard it is to find like consistency these days in any sort of new policies or whatever you do, because our attention span is so short. Like we do things and after 3 months it already
Yeah.
feels old, right? Like I blame TikTok on this. But I guess the same goes to everything on the App Store optimization from the user acquisition. There's certain things that of course will last forever. You market through emotions and you through telling stories and selling fantasies. But like when it comes to the actual tips and tricks, like you said, it's constantly evolving. Things change all the time. So that's kind of what you have to do as well. If you're sticking to the same formula for more than a year, and you see things, you know,
Yeah.
like
You'll
getting
not succeed,
saturated.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's time to change. And lastly, I would say then that it's like we've also always viewed ASO as like an extension to user acquisition. So even without this user acquisition extension that we now built, so whenever we've done anything around ASO, so it's always about us thinking, okay, where are the users coming from? What are the paid marketing channels you're using? What are the ads? So kind of we're thinking about the user journey, and then when they come to the store, so then we that's the first step, and then we take that into account, and then we build the stores and make sure that they convert and so on. So it's a very collaborative effort between the App Store optimization teams and the user acquisition teams, if those are separate teams. Sometimes those might be the exact same persons doing this, all the stuff. But yeah, so like in life general, I think then one way of being like in ahead of all these changes and stuff that happens is also very good collaboration between all the teams and everyone that's sort of part of this journey of acquiring users.
And you also have spoken about the importance of testing creatives and concepts before launch. So can you share an example where early testing made a huge difference for a game's success?
Right. So again, we're quite limited in terms of what we can share because you can obviously think that
Of
if
course,
someone's launching new stuff and it's not,
NDAs
yeah, and if it's not out yet, so it might be difficult.
without the
Uh,
names. Yeah.
uh, yeah, and we can share one with the name, and I've also been talking about this publicly as well, so I think it's safe and good to go.
Yeah.
But so actually, quite a few years back, 3 years back, 4 years back, we were working with this company called Funcraft, and they were like industry veterans, and then they like founded a new game company. So there were only like a couple of them in the company at that point, and they were making this word puzzle game, and they were trying to identify what type like how would they actually market it, like, and we conducted a study with them. We figured out like, okay, should like there's no word puzzle games that has strong meta in it, so maybe we could build one that has like a characters and some meta elements, one that could be very very social or like visually sort of explosive, or maybe just one that simply looks like a newspaper type of a game. So we ran a series of tests around this, and we found out that the one that was actually working way like the best by far was the one with the newspaper. And as this was like a new company, so not only impacted like, of course, what type of a game they are building, but it also impacted what type of people they were like hiring to the company, right? So if they would have gone with the meta and the characters and stuff, there would be a need for, more artists and maybe a narrative designer and all that. Whereas now, as it was just simply a newspaper kind of a thing, so all the focus went into, okay, let's build social features, let's build up like a competitive aspect into this and so on. So then they hired completely different people. Game became successful. It's still out there. So I think that's quite a fun story and memory to see how an impact like that can not only change the game but actually also the company
Yeah.
behind it in a way.
Especially someone who is starting, as you said, like a new company, new brand on the market. Yeah.
Exactly.
Strong enter. Yeah, it's a good.
Yeah.
So, as someone who has started your career at Rovio, how did your experience there shape your approach to marketing and entrepreneurship?
Right. um, so first of all, I think there's a reason, kind of, it's a common joke that if you're in Finland and you're in the gaming industry and then you ask like, hey, who's been at Rovio, everyone puts their hands up because they've been there at some point. uh, and I think it's such a great, like, also a company but also a university for anyone in the industry. Like, prior to joining Rovio, I actually thought I had like authority issues, to be honest. So I dropped out of college twice because I couldn't quite get things, and had other difficulties like this. But then when I joined Rovio, I realized that no, it wasn't an authority issue. It was just like bad authorities. So when I joined Rovio, I had like the greatest bosses I've ever had, which all like helped me a ton, not only in marketing but also in terms of just becoming a better like employee, marketer, and a human being, I guess. And what goes without saying as well that imagine Rovio like at that stage as well. Like we had, I joined pre-IPO, but still like Rovio's been around since like, well, as long as App Store, right? So the brand was massive, and with that brand came so much opportunities. My first summer job, like I joined there during the summer as a summer trainee. I got to work personally by myself with WWF and like essentially UNICEF to build up like this charity event in one of our games. So that's a massive learning experience and great
Yeah.
brands to work with, do something good. After that, we got to partner up with companies like Iron Maiden, NFL, NBA. Like it was simply insane how good opportunities we got, like, or I got, like, working there. And just the fact that we were spending like $80 million a year in marketing at that time, so helped me in paid user acquisition as well, to kind of realize how things work on scale.
Expensive
Yeah,
shopping. Yeah.
yes, but we got a lot of users with it and business, so, and it was profitable. This was also pre ATT. Uh, and then also from our entrepreneur point of view, I have to say that like I mentioned, I was at Rovio when like this idea came up. So first I tested out like if it works, and then when we thought, okay, we could actually make a company out of this with my co-founders. So I went to Alex, the CEO, and asked like this the situation, and he like wrote me like a letter and said, like, with his signature, that hey, you're free to do this on your own time, of course, like not during
Hmm.
Rovio
Yeah.
time, but like even like I think that's just showing like such a great like showcases the spirit in Rovio as well, that like they really were like allowing me to just try this thing,
Yeah.
and it's been great that we've been able to collaborate with them. Like after I left Rovio, I felt I was working more closely with my ex-colleagues, because like then we were actually the service provider for them. But yeah, that just goes to show how great of a environment it is for
Yeah.
entrepreneurship as well to flourish.
Yeah, the supporting community, and especially at the beginning of your road, of your entrepreneurship road, it's super important, and it's great that the management is actually supporting its employees. And let's say, good luck. You have my signature, you have my blessings,
Yes,
but after your work, and it's awesome. Yeah.
yes, 100%. And I still remember the call when another great boss. Again, I could talk a lot about these guys, but Kieran was my boss back then. I remember like calling him and saying, "Hey, I'm really sorry, but today's the day. I have to leave Rovio and check this thing fully and see how this could go." And he was simply like, "I'm fucking pissed, but I'm so happy for you." And then he's been a great support ever since as well. So like really great people at the company, and I think that what makes a great company as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Make sure to stick around until the end of the episode, because I've partnered up with the top gaming conferences to bring you some exclusive discounts. I'll be revealing a special promo code you don't want to miss, so stay tuned. And what has been the biggest challenges you faced so far at Geeklab?
So with obviously, well, I think there's a lot of like regulations going on in the industry, and or in general in the world, and specifically looking at like anything digital and data. And the issue with these regulations are that they're like kind of being thrown here and there, and even the instruments themselves that like define these regulations fail to follow them. So just recently, I guess it was the one that like made the law that you can't change, like transfer data between countries, got fined because they personally did that. So even they can't follow that. So like it's impossible to follow the regulations completely, which is why I think the actual sort of the ones that define how the industry goes are like both Apple and Google with their policies. So instead of the regulations influence the policies, but the policies are like essentially the ones that then define how we can operate here. Now, like I mentioned, in the US side, we're trying to fix some of the issues that with Apple's ATT came through, and now will most likely come in when Google releases Privacy Sandbox. And for us, kind of, I guess the difficult part is that there are these policies that clearly state that you can't do these, and these things. So now that we're trying to push a thing that's actually future-proof and sort of within these policies, and something that does how it's supposed to be done. At the same time, there's like a lot of players in the industry, massive companies that don't follow these policies. They're still doing like user level tracking, not to name any names here, but all that which like without consent, which is completely against these policies. Kind of the biggest thing that they say in these policies that you're not allowed to do. So I guess that's part of the challenge, because the policies are not being enforced, and then if you're trying to play like within those policies, so then when someone else is not, they have a competitive advantage to some extent, and that leads to some difficulties.
But you're also not just a tech entrepreneur, right? You run a dance studio, clothing brand.
Yeah, running is a very descriptive word specifically when it comes to myself. Haven't run in a couple of months, but I like running companies. I think I'm a very very solid example of the phrase expert of everything, master of none. Like I'm actually very bad at like uh, yeah, I know little about a big amount of things, but not an expert in any single one. And what I'm trying to say there is circling back to the collaboration, I guess, is that not running those by myself. Like it's always I'm part of those, and I contribute and I help with however I can. But yeah, it's super interesting. There's a lot of like. With the clothing brand, we didn't like we didn't have employees, so that was a bit of a different thing. But still, even from everything that we learned from there, even not having employees, the same sort of stuff then applies still to this day, kind of in every stuff that we do here on Geeklab and also on the dance studio. And yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but also different types of things. Like we could say that in the gaming industry, we're passionate, of course. We're making games, right? Like we're making something that we'd want to play, and we've played, and we're very passionate people. I often use the term like rock stars when you think about like top coders. Like they really like they have their own vision, and then as a product manager, your role is to kind of actually be the manager of the rock star, right? But then when you go to dance studio, and there's like the customers essentially, because the dance studio has dancers aged from like practically 0 to 50, so everyone in between. So there's kids and there's adults, but specifically with kids. So imagine like how passionate you are about games. So imagine how passionate people are about their kids, right? And emotional. So it's an industry full of emotions and stuff. And I'm myself quite rational, like rational. So I think logically. So quite often that's a challenge for myself, at least, to kind of reason when everyone's so emotional, from the parents and everything. And but of course it's the kids that are there and so on.
And if you could go back to early days founding Geeklab, what advice would you give yourself?
This is a very tough one. It's hard to like actually think about, because I think every mistake that you make kind of ends up bringing you here, and if you wouldn't make them, so then would it be better or worse? Hard to tell. One thing I would do that just came to my mind now that we like during this podcast was just tapping myself on the shoulder and saying like, hey, no worries, like getting the first customer is hard. Like it will take time, but it will come. And maybe give some tips and tricks on how to make that faster based on the knowledge we know now.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just everything will be all right. You're doing everything good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So looking ahead, what excites you the most about the future of mobile marketing?
We will fix the issues with iOS attribution and analytics. And then when Google will release the same stuff through Privacy Sandbox, we've got everything covered.
Awesome. So now we will move on to the part that you said you didn't watch, you didn't see.
Yeah.
So this blitz questions. Answers can be quick, couple of words, a sentence, as you wish. So the first one. Let's imagine your closest friend had to describe you in 3 words. What would they say?
Oh shit. Probably that. No, I think creative, most likely. And then, creative, hardworking, and lazy. Because I can be both.
Okay. What's one surprising fact about yourself that most people don't know?
Ooh, I'm quite open about things, so normally I share stuff. Maybe I've. Ooh, yes, this is new. When I was a kid, I used to be a. Wait a second, I'll, I'll show you. No worries, it's a PG photo. But when I was a kid, I actually used to be a model, doing like catwalks and shit. Yeah, and then thing happened. I'm 170 centimeters tall, so I guess that was a bit too short for being a model. Hence, we're here now. I'll show you because still to date, there is this one. Let me know if you can see that one right there. That's like a grass that you like.
Yeah.
Grass thing that you can put outdoors. So I'm still on the cover of that. I guess that's a surprising fact.
Okay. We found one of that kids from the crazy ads.
Yes. That's me.
Interesting. So let's imagine if Geeklab were a person. So how would you describe the appearance and personality?
Ooh,
That's a kid with the grass on it.
yes.
The grass on his head.
I would say very unhinged, but at the same time super professional and a trustworthy friend. I would say that's how
Nice.
we
It's a good one.
like to position ourselves.
Yeah. What's your favorite travel destination and why?
Ooh. There's a lot of them. Um, I love a lot of um, European cities and cities pretty much everywhere. But we I visit Stockholm with my wife like so many times. It's like the bigger version of Helsinki with better food and more people and more outgoing people as well. So just because we
Stockholm.
visit it so often, I have to say Stockholm.
Okay, Stockholm it is. What is a skill or hobby outside of gaming that has unexpectedly helped you in your professional life? I know the answer. Singing, dancing, modeling.
No, no. Oh my God. No, but actually, yes. I think there's one that ties to everything, which is playing piano. When I was a kid, like parents put me through extensive 10 years of playing piano, and I think it's very mathematical. I think it helped on mathematical point of view, which could help in coding and everything else. And then I'm not saying I can sing, but I can say that I can act like I can sing because of the fact that I've been playing
I
piano.
will I will say you can sing.
So,
Yeah.
thank you, though.
I'll
Thank
stop it. I'll stop it. Yeah, but it's also a discipline. You know, when I also finished musical school,
you.
and when I was a child, most of the time I didn't want to go there. Right? I wanted to, I don't know, play Sims, go be outside, do anything like, but not sitting 2 hours with my music teacher, you know, and just running and running these songs for like a speed one. But it's actually helped me with also discipline a lot
Yeah,
because
that's
sometimes you need to do what you don't like, and it's life,
a
but it
very,
helps you
very good
later.
point.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's a very good point. Repeating, like as well,
yeah,
like just like having to do those repetitions over and over
yeah.
again. Yeah, very good point.
So what's the next conference where we can see you?
I think it will most likely be for myself MAU. So I will skip the typical GDC and therefore BGC San Francisco as well, just because yeah, we're based in Helsinki, flying back and forth to
Yeah.
state. So we're kind of distributing it between team members, and I'll take the MAU flag this year.
And let's imagine if you could have a coffee tomorrow with any person from the industry, like game development, publisher, from past to present, who would it be? And what's the first question that you want to ask them?
That is a very good question. And this is probably why I should have read this before. It's really hard to answer. There's so amazing like leaders all around, and sometimes in these conferences you actually get the insane opportunity to pick their brain.
Yeah.
So really hard for me to actually pick one. Um, and and I'll say this, even though like we've just recently had a chat, but still like because again there's so many amazing leaders, and you know, can't pick one, but John Wright is such a sunny personality. If he'd be now in Helsinki, we'd definitely go to uh, have a cup of coffee, and I would just simply love to ask him now again, like being a bit um, outside of quality and focusing more on consulting and doing advisory for companies. Like how does it feel, and how does the family life feel?
A nice one. Spoiler alert, he will be a guest at the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so that was it from my side. I'm very sad that we can't do karaoke because probably YouTube will block us, right?
It's yeah, like I could be the backup dancer.
You can look. You can catwalk, dance, sing, play the piano. You know, earn money, closing. You're a very nice person to have on a team. You know, I know right now who to write for any questions that I may have.
Exactly. And if there's if you have a karaoke performance upcoming, you know who to call. I'll be there supporting on the back.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming. It was an incredible chat. I think there are so many insights that you shared with me today, and I hope it will be helpful also for the people who will listen. And your journey, your experience is incredible. Don't stop being a very active entrepreneur, and I'm tapping you on the shoulder and saying that you're doing everything right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yep.
much for having me as well. It was an honor.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I've got another exciting event to share with you. As you know, I've partnered with leading gaming conferences to bring you exclusive discounts, and today I want to highlight the White Knight Live Ops Summit Belgrade. This incredible event is happening on April 10th, 2025 in the city of Belgrade. It's a must attend for anyone passionate about live ops, featuring top game developers, publishers, and industry experts sharing insights, tools, and strategies to drive player engagement and revenue growth. And here's the best part. I've got an exclusive promo code just for you. Use MEL10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your ticket. You'll also find the code in the description below. Don't miss this chance to level up your live ops knowledge and connect with the brightest minds in gaming. That's a wrap for today's episode of Gamebiz Heroes. Make sure to subscribe, leave feedback, and share it with your friends. And of course, stay tuned for more inspiring stories and insider tips from the brightest minds in gaming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.